Happy Monday! Coming at you with a new book.
We read Believe It by
Jamie Kern Lima, which I thought it was like Cara Lima.
I'm glad that, I was struggling a little bit saying her name, but then I found it.
Yeah. So, fun fact about me, on my wedding day, I actually wore the CC cream from It Cosmetics.
Yes, so Jamie is the founder of It Cosmetics.
I love it
I
so
have not
much.
worn any of the products.
Really?
No.
So, my, best friend, her sister did my makeup for my wedding, and she just got, a tube because me and her were, the same color. Yeah. So, she just got us a tube, did my makeup, and then let me keep it, and it literally is so good. You have to try it. I didn't know, in the book, she kind of talks about the difference between, drugstore and, Sephora and Ulta, being not, what are they called? Luxury or something like that. High-end
Yeah,
skincare. I didn't know any of that. I was, thinking, oh, you could just put it, at Walgreens.
Because, it's not like department store makeup. Yeah.
So I didn't realize, I guess, that there's a difference between drugstore and department store.
So is that where all her product is now? At Sephora? I shouldn't say hers, but...
Yeah, Sephora, Ulta, those places. So she says, because it's a higher price point because of all the testing that she's done, it can't be in a drugstore.
Got it.
So yeah, I get it from Ulta.
Okay.
It's so good. I love it so much. Her story, literally, I was bawling my eyes out. So much.
Yeah, apparently, I cried a few times too.
Cried at every book.
I don't normally cry during books. I get upset, but I don't think I actually visibly cry. And some of the stories I definitely did with her book.
I think it's because it relates so much to our story. When she says she had an aha moment and it was gonna be great, I'm oh my gosh, that was us on that walk. We were just walking and talking, we can't be the only moms feeling this way. We can't be the only moms that are having a hard time with the stuff that we're having a hard time with, and feeling overwhelmed. And
for sure. So, and then not being able to do things, or thinking she couldn't do things because she looked a certain way, and having people in the industry telling her that. Yeah. I definitely really relate to that, because I think I definitely don't do as much as I want because of the way I look, which I'm working on.
She also says that, what was the one thing that I was oh my gosh, this is us. Oh, she's we didn't, her and her husband started It Cosmetics. So she said we didn't personally know anyone in the industry. So we did a lot of Googling, and I was oh my gosh, us. We don't know, we're not friends with another podcaster.
Yeah.
Actually, right before we launched, I was at a bar birthday party situation, and this guy was talking about having a podcast, and I was oh my gosh, and I kind of
you don't hear of many people, not, at least not in our area.
I went into it with him, and he says, oh, me and my friend were just he says it's still out there, but they don't do
they don't have more new episodes. Yeah.
So basically what they did though was they were taking reviews of places and 1-star reviews and reading them and making jokes about them. And I'm oh my gosh, that's so funny. But yeah, he did it and stopped. So I was asking him did you have an Instagram? Did you do this? And no, he just shared it on his Facebook. So I was
I think it's different though. It's, evolving. Podcasting is. I mean, more people listen to podcasts now than I would say ever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of my family don't even know what a podcast is.
Well, yeah.
So
I mean,
I had to explain.
I think the majority of our first listeners aren't people that listen to podcasts regularly. So I, when I explained to them this is what it is, I think a lot of them don't get it. But as we're growing more, I'm how many people are podcast listeners that are finding us now? I reached out to some people on TikTok, and I was hey, I saw that you like podcasts. Could you please review ours? None of them ever messaged me back, but it's fine. I'm trying, but that's where I related so much to her story. She said she was just reaching out and getting told no. And we've had some people I've asked to be guests, and they don't respond, and these people on TikTok, I mean, they have hundreds. How
Yeah,
many?
I mean, I wrote it here. She waited years for a yes, but she kept going because she knew, she believed in her message and, you know, what she wanted to help people with. I mean, you know, she really focused on her why. I resonated with that. Like, focus on your why, because it needs to be meaningful to you for you to keep on going. And I think, like, that really made me think about our podcast and, like, what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
It made me think of TikTok too, because it's like when you create, so when you do a podcast or anything like that, they say to like have an avatar. Like you're not putting yourself out there for everyone. You're putting yourself out there for like a certain type of person. So like that's what I think about too. Like when I do my TikToks, like I'm putting like this content out there for this type of parent, this type of mom. So yeah, I mean that with our podcast too. Like we need to think about like who our person is and how we want to impact them. And that like gives us, you know, what we talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I had so many notes on this book. 4 pages of notes to be exact.
Yeah.
Like I just really, really loved it. And something that I liked about the book too is it wasn't like written as like a typical personal development book.
Yeah.
In like that fashion where there's like steps and action items and, you know, things that you need to apply to your life. But it was more of a how did I say that?
Like, well, wouldn't it be like an autobiography kind of?
Yeah, I mean, that's what a memoir is. But I don't know if I'm saying that. Memoir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Memoir style. You know, there's tons of stories in it about her personal and professional life. Tons of insight on how she built and marketed her business, which are things that, you know, we're really working on and trying to learn. So I loved it. She's a super humble person.
Yeah.
You know, she was almost in disbelief, I would say. Like, she really wasn't believing that that was her life. Like, she, you know what I mean? Like, how she said it. And she didn't put a lot of pressure on the reader, too, to feel like her way of success was the only way to have success.
She even says, like, when she used, like, her last $1,000, she's like, I don't recommend this as a business idea. So, but she's like, this is what we did.
Just going with your gut and your intuition is more powerful than anyone else's advice.
Yeah.
So, like, just little things that she said just really, really resonated with me. And I wrote it down, obviously. And something that I'm going to continue to look back on. You know, especially when I'm feeling down or like things aren't working out the way, you know, these are just a great toolbox to have to, you know, remind myself that we're going to get there.
Yeah. And in her welcoming too, like literally I had physical like goosebumps on my arms. I got chills because she's talking about like how if you come to my house, like I'll welcome you in sweatpants. I'll offer you coffee, like all these small little things, you know, she says wine, she says other stuff, you know, that weren't my jive, but she's like talking about how her home is welcoming and she's not gonna like look down upon anyone from their past. And later on in the story, you know, she talks about the different backgrounds, all of her friends and how they don't vote the same and all this stuff. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Like she said too about how a lot of like basically I feel like why she wrote the book was so many articles were coming out about her, about like her success story.
Yeah, like, and it wasn't right.
Yeah, and she's like, I want you guys to know how many years it took. I want you to know all these struggles, all these no's, and she just kept pushing.
Yeah. I mean, she went through a lot, like as in her childhood, I mean, to where she's at now. Like she really, really went through it.
Yeah.
And just
talks about being home alone a lot, like and I'm like, dang, because, you know, with us working out and with us recording the podcast, literally right now, we're sitting at a park. Our kids are outside playing. We're in the car recording. Like, it's just like, yeah, I mean, we're really putting in the work. Her parents really had given her that work ethic. She really, you know, put in the work. She wasn't a mom when she was growing her business, but, you know, she is a mom now.
Yeah.
So much of it was just so eye-opening, relatable. I wrote down too in my notes, like, dang, she was 40 years old. Like, I don't know. I don't know how old like our listeners are. I don't want to like it to be like, wow, that's so old. But it's like when she sold her business to L'Oreal for how much she sold it for, she was 40. There's so many times that I sit at birthday parties for my kids and I like look around at these other moms and I'm like, oh my gosh,
comparing
that car,
yourself,
their house. Now that I'm Facebook friends with some of them, like, oh my gosh, look at their houses, like look at their front porch, like I'm just in a duplex rental, like what the hell is wrong with me, you know? And they're all so much older than I am. And
and they've said that to you too. I mean,
yeah.
You know, just like I had to think about that too when I was young. Like we had kids young. So we didn't really have an established life per se.
Yeah.
You know,
careers.
And, yeah. So like we're just growing differently, maybe a little bit slower than some people, but we'll get there. I mean, I love my family. I love where we're at, and we'll just keep on growing.
Yeah. I just like, you know, that she says all these things. In my notes, she was like saying too, like life's not meant to be lived alone. That just really stood out to me too. And it's like, yeah, because we really do need our people. Our people are important.
Like talking about her child and
her childhood and stuff.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When she said sold out too, so she brings you through the journey of, you know, spending her last $1,000, then how she needed to like sell it to get the money back from it and to continue on the show that she was on selling. And when she like says the sold out sign lit up, I just like imagined us like logging into our account and seeing like 1,000 downloads, because that's when you can start monetizing and stuff like that. And like one day we're gonna log into our account, we're gonna see 1,000 downloads, and it's gonna be like, oh my god.
Yeah, so true.
And I just like felt it. I was like, it's gonna happen, just like it happened for her, like it's gonna happen for us. And that was like, I think part of the reason too why I was just so like emotional during it.
Yeah, and another thing with her, like she is just like so humble, meaning where like, you know, saying things like one person's success does not take away from someone else's. So like she is like the first person to invite someone in and to help them. And, you know, she is not, you know, she gets competitive by upping her own game, not by tearing someone else down. And I just, because we have said that before, like, I don't know the exact way we've said it, but like there's room for everybody to shine.
At the top.
Yeah, there you go. Room for everybody at the top. Yeah. There really is. I mean, I
love too, she says like always bring another woman with you.
Yeah.
And I feel that way. Like I do, a majority of the podcasts that I listen to are like all women. And I'm like, yeah. And a lot of people that I follow online and like stuff like that. It's not like, you know, to be like she just says like whenever she has an opportunity, she brings another woman with her. And that's really like, yeah, that is what I want to be in the front of my brain thinking about moving forward too. Like if one of my friends would ever reach out wanting to start a podcast, instantly I would have her be on ours, you know, like anything like that, any way we can help
and any way to help. I mean, yeah. I mean, I would absolutely want to help anybody out like that. Another part, I think, is chapter 5 that I like. I think I did cry at this part. Like just talking about being your authentic self fully, like the good parts, your quirky parts, awkward parts, you know, everything that is you. Because when you hide parts of yourself, you dim your own light, and you try to change to meet someone else's expectation, but you risk missing out on becoming the person you are born to be. Yeah. I loved that. And then she said, so many people waste so many times shrinking who we are and how we show up because we are worried about what other people think. That's me. 100%. I don't talk. Yeah. I don't say anything because I worry. And, you know, I need to be better at that.
It's okay.
I need to show up for myself, though.
Yeah. Everything's a work in progress. And that's too, like what I've said 1,000 other times, like you can't change it, like your history, your past, anything, your subconscious beliefs until you bring it to the front. The front of your little brain, you know, our big brains. Until it's brought forward, you can't change it. It's just subconscious. So,
I mean, I have so much anxiety and stress just thinking about other people and what they think of me and how they react. I mean, today, looking for this stupid cheer scrunchie. Like, that's what I'm worried about. Not about Peyton not being the same as all her other teammates and not having it, but more so worried about how the moms are going to shame me because I can't find the stupid little thing.
Yeah. It will be fine. And even if someone thinks something about you, that reflects on themselves.
Right.
Even where she says, like, in the beginning, like, labels are removable. Like, you can remove labels off of yourself. And it goes back to, like, when we were talking last week about, like, our kids and labeling them, like, as sassy or terrible twos, like, stuff like that. And it's, like, right now, I feel like you're just, like, one more thing I did wrong. But it's, like, well, you know, it's not only your fault. You're teaching them, like, take care of their stuff. And if they don't, then this is what happens.
Right.
So,
it's a learning moment. It's fine.
Yeah.
I also love the surround yourself with people that believe in you and love you for who you are.
That you are a combination
so
of the 5 people. There really is.
Yeah.
She also was, like, talking about, like, true self. And I wrote down, like, I don't know if I know my true self. And I think that is really, like, kind of what the whole point of the podcast is. I've, like, had many conversations over the last 2-3 years. Like, I don't know if I know how to fill my love cup. And that's, you know, the point of these books and the point of the deep dive and the self-reflection and everything we're doing is to find our true selves. Like you said, like, dimming down your light, then you don't know what even makes you happy.
Yeah.
And a lot of my struggles, I think, over the last couple of years, like, switching jobs and quitting smoking and, like, these different things. And then it's like I go to the doctor and it's like I made all these good changes and she just wants to focus on, you know, one bad thing. So this book was just literally
this
amazing.
made me think of you.
What?
Where she owned 20 of the same black shirts and pants. And she wore one each day as a survival tactic to conserve energy. Even one less decision felt important.
Yeah.
Because she had so many things to decide. That's you.
I'm
and
telling
your capsule. And we talked about that. Yep, that one made me think of you.
I've talked about that with my kids before too, like, because then there's less decisions to make. The one thing that really, 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 I told Josh, like, I'm gonna go get this tattooed on me. You can pray, you can worry, you cannot do both. If you're gonna worry about it, don't bother praying about it. And if you're gonna pray about it, you don't need to worry about it. And it's like, oh my gosh, the ending was kind of like religious. Heads up, if you're gonna buy the book, read the book.
Yeah, I didn't love that, but I still, like, I'm not really religious.
Yeah.
But I definitely believe in things. So that's just where I channeled my energy with that.
Well, and it said, I didn't know. The definition of faith is believing in something you can't see. And I was like, oh, dang. Like, another, like, mind-blown emoji for Tanisha.
Yeah. Like, believing in your success when you haven't even lived it yet. Like,
because
just things like that.
I've said to Josh before, like, I think that religious people are, like, more successful. And I've brought up, like, you know, one of my friends has a really nice house. She's religious. Like, a couple other people that I know that have, like, super successful careers, super religious. So Josh and I've had these conversations over the years when I look at, like, successful people in my life and I'm like, and I'm like, dang, like, maybe I need to, like, force myself to be religious so that I can be more successful. So when she says, like, faith is believing in something you can't see. That's like even bringing it to the gym. Like we're going to the gym day after day after day. We're not seeing like a huge transformation in the snap of your fingers. We're going because we believe if we keep going every day, eventually we're going to see a big transformation after we put how many reps in and how many, and that's what I'm like thinking about this podcast. Like,
I mean, I think though, like manifesting and things like that is pretty similar.
I've seen posts before too that, different religions and spirituality, like even the wording, it's like so similar. But Josh is not very religious, and I've struggled with am I gonna try and be religious or not, for a long time, since having kids, because even when we had Brooklyn, I was like, she needs to get baptized because it's the right thing to do. And then like one of my friends was like, well, why is it the right thing to do? And like between Josh and I, like we've had these conversations multiple times throughout the years. And a lot of these books too, like even in Hustle, Believe, Receive, she talks about the Joel Osteen stuff and praying and everything like that. And so I bring up the books, and Josh, like when she just said like faith is believing in something you can't see, I was like, wow, that makes sense why I feel like religious people are more successful and why I can find that out in the universe.
Yeah, I mean, they are conditioned. They are like raised believing in
something they can't see. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Another thing that I really liked was the price of anything is the amount of life that you exchange for it. And how she says like balance is a lie. Balance is BS. There's no balance, because you have to have the unbalanced. If you like have that big of a goal, you can't have balance to achieve that goal.
Yes. But she also doesn't work 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
I mean, so yes, I do believe there's never going to be balance. But I also believe in trying to balance somewhat.
Well, I think everyone's personal balance, like personally, you can find your personal like equilibrium.
Yeah.
To make it work, your secret sauce.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, power of the people is greater than the powerful people. I liked that. Because we all work together.
Yeah.
Then, I don't know, we're just, yeah.
My last question was, am I the only person that like didn't grow up listening to Oprah or Ellen? Because now, over the past...
I used to love Oprah, but people made fun of me for liking Oprah. Or that I watched Oprah.
Because...
And Ellen, that was like an older thing. And I liked Ellen, but more for like funny, not like Oprah and her compassion and her struggle.
I think it's because that other book that I was reading, she was talking about watching Ellen. And then in this book, she was talking about Oprah, and other podcasts have been like, if you had Oprah resources, like, what would you do with it? Or if you had Oprah this or Oprah that. I'm like, am I the only person? A lot of people
compare, like, that's the highest level of success is Oprah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Oprah...
I've never watched a single show. Is it still on?
No. I mean, she's a very compassionate person. I mean, I'm sure people will think differently.
Yeah.
But she made a lot of money. I mean, she came from nothing. I mean,
yeah.
She was born and raised, I believe, in Chicago.
Really?
I was just listening to a book that she wrote too, but I didn't finish it. But it was about her struggles in life.
So I was like, maybe I need to do a little like Oprah searching, because she compared a lot of stuff like to Oprah, and like she looked up to Oprah and like a lot. So I was like, maybe I need to do a little Oprah searching and see what the Oprah big deal is. Yeah. Obviously there's something,
I loved her. But I also liked like Dr. Phil, and he's a terrible person.
Really?
I mean, I can't say that for sure, but yeah, I mean, yes. I'm just watching a documentary and remembering watching the episode, and he sent kids there. I can't think of what the documentary is right now, but it's like a cult.
About the wilderness kids? Where they get kidnapped and stuff?
No, it's where, like, you're really bad, and then they, like, have people, like, come to your house and, like, pretty much abduct you and take you to
yeah. That's the wilderness
school.
camp thing.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it was called exactly, but...
Yeah.
And I remember watching episodes where, like, they would tackle kids and pretty much remove them from the house. And I was like, shit. Dang. I was, like, contributing to that. I don't know. And
yeah.
I mean, you'd think he would research and know what's up before he does all that, but trying to get the views, I guess.
Kenzie's about to come to the door.
Yeah.
What, baby?
Mommy, I'm thirsty.
Okay, we'll be done in just about 2 minutes, okay?
No, my hand's so cold.
All right, jump in the car. Okay. You can be in the background. Any final thoughts?
My only other thought was, this is something I do all the time, and I did it just yesterday, is not being able to take a compliment. Always having to rebuttal and say something back. Meaning, like, your hair looks great. And then I would comment, yeah, I need a haircut. Yeah. Like, something back. Responding to a compliment by putting yourself down. But I believe I was raised that way. I believe a lot of people are raised that way, to play it small, to not offend anyone, you know, uncomfortable talking about your success. Mm-hmm. And if you do talk about your success, you're arrogant and full of yourself. And, I mean, you're just trying to rub it in people's faces. But that's not true. And I think us as women need to change that culture. Yeah. We need to be rising. We need to be, like, just influence everybody to grow and be their best self and not think of it in a bad light.
And we're part of that change.
Yes.
Go us. This was another amazing, unbelievable book. She has written a second book since this book, and that is what we're going to recap next.
She really is a great person, and it makes me love the book even more. And now going into reading the second book, I actually bought the book and I'm reading it. I just like...
Yeah. It's new. It's at Barnes & Noble.
Love.
It's at all the book places. I don't know where else people buy books. I'm new to reading books. We're discussing, I'm like an Audible book person, so does that even count as reading? If it does, comment and let me know. Is Audible and like Libby and all those things still reading if I'm listening? Because it's like, I am, but I'm not, you know?
I mean, I still count it on my Goodreads.
So, her voice...
But I do write in there that I listened versus read.
Her voice is just so wholesome. Yeah. She's so like, you just feel like she's hugging you the whole time you're
warm
listening.
And caring. Mm-hmm. And you can just tell, like, she's super compassionate and really cares about everybody. So we love her. This is another book that we love, and we hope that you love us. We will see you Wednesday. And then we'll see you again on Monday. And hopefully every Monday and Wednesday after that, because we hope that you love listening.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.